It's another installment of Trillium Talk across the Village Media Network and, of course, available wherever you get your favorite podcast. I'm Scott Sexsmith, very pleased to have with us from our team at the Trillium reporter, Aidan Chamandy. Aidan, welcome back. It's been a while. Great to see you.
It's been far too long, Scott. It's a joy to be with you on this sunny Friday morning.
All right, let's start with infrastructure and the province considering a new agency to speed up public infrastructure projects. What's interesting, though, is that the supposedly confidential government docs were posted to a website which was started by a former public servant who also has a nonprofit registered under the same name as the agency the government is contemplating. What's this all about, Aidan?
Yeah, so, in your daily job as a reporter, you don't expect to come across confidential government documents on a random website that you find perusing the internet for more information on this interesting technology. You normally expect to, through the Freedom of Information system or whatnot. So the government is considering, what we found is the government is considering starting up a new provincial agency called Digital Twin Ontario. The whole idea is to kind of speed up construction projects. This digital twin technology is essentially like if you have a building, you can create like a virtual model of it that has all the information on the building, how it's running and all that stuff, know where all the utility lines are underground. So you don't have to waste time kind of surveying and find out, there's a gas line under here when we're digging. So yeah, as I said, in trying to find out more about this technology, you come across this website called Digital Twin Ontario, which is the same name as the contemplated agency. And this guy who used to work for Infrastructure Ontario posted it online. We were really surprised to see that some of these documents were marked confidential for internal use only, and that really, got our spidey senses tingling. So we brought it forward to the government. They said, we have absolutely no affiliation with this website. We've asked this person to take it down. After we alerted the government that, hey, we're writing a story on this, all the documents on the website were password protected. But yeah, this guy, about a month or a few months after he left Infrastructure Ontario, registered a nonprofit. We have the corporate records, called Digital Twin Ontario, created a website, and posted these documents. It's really probably the strangest thing I've encountered in my years as being a journalist.
All right, let's shift gears here, Aidan. The Premier holding a press conference last week covering a number of issues. Let's start with what Charlie Pinkerton called the Great Ontario Drought of 2024. What did Doug Ford say about the new LCBO deal that ended the 2-week strike and maybe some of the challenges involved to make it happen?
Yeah, so he kind of said two separate things. The first was kind of exactly what you would expect him to say based on his position atop the government negotiating with workers. He said it should never have happened and that the two sides could have come to a deal before the workers hit the picket lines. But the other thing was about the briefly aborted deal. I'm sure everyone remembers. I think it was last Friday when we had a deal, and then news came out a little bit later that the deal's off. The deal's off. So Ford said that what happened in that kind of like brief interim period was kind of crazy. The union wanted workers to be compensated for the 2 weeks they were on strike. The union disputed Ford's characterization that they had reneged on the deal in any way. They said that the tentative agreement had been reached, and then after you do that, there's a standard return to work protocol, and these are two completely separate things. The union said they never walked away from the main deal, but there was just an issue with how workers would be compensated for those 2 weeks. Turns out the LCBO said that they finished the return to work protocol negotiations and there was no new monetary items attached. So workers will not be compensated for those 2 weeks that they were on strike.
All right, the Premier also weighing in on U.S. President Joe Biden stepping away from the presidential race and had some comments, particularly surrounding Biden's performance in the debate with Donald Trump.
Yeah, Biden was really catching it from all sides during the 3 weeks between the debate and when he finally decided to drop out. Ford, like so many people across the U.S., across Canada, across the world, said he felt bad for Biden. It was obvious to him and everyone else that it was time for Biden to drop out. And Ford, I guess, got his wish.
All right, and finally, Premier Ford has some big aspirations, so it seems, for Ontario Place.
Yeah, the Ontario Place redevelopment is like it's a huge kind of legacy project for Ford. He wants it to be the biggest tourist destination in Canada, and he has a lot of faith that that'll come to pass. Just so everyone's up to speed, the Ontario Place redevelopment includes that huge spa down by the water by Therma, the revamped Budweiser stage to have year-round concerts, and then the new Ontario Science Center, which has obviously been in the top line news item for weeks and weeks and weeks. So in terms of Canada-wide tourist destinations, Niagara Falls is the top dog, 12 to 14 million people per year. Various different government documents that have been released over the course of the redevelopment project process says that Ontario Place itself expects to attract between 4 and 6 million people per year. And if you couple that with Exhibition Place, which is really close to Ontario Place and where the X is held every September, that I'm sure tons of people have been to, they're expecting between those two things, there could be potentially 12 million people per year. So still short of Niagara Falls, but remains to be seen because none of this stuff is built yet.
Just wait till they get a casino there.
Interestingly enough, actually, the ministerial zoning order, which is a tool that the province can use to kind of like take control of municipal zoning, for Ontario Place says a casino can never be built here. So as long as that MZO is in effect on Ontario Place, there will be no casino. But obviously, plans can change, so we'll see.
All right, quickly to healthcare before we let you go. Health Minister Sylvia Jones announced that pharmacists will be able to treat minor ailments. Seems like great news, Aidan, but another part of the story was the press conference itself.
Yeah, so the top line news, pharmacists be able to treat 14 more common ailments like sore throats, insomnia, mild headaches. It's part of the government's process, part of the government's efforts to like expand pharmacist scope of practice to help take the load off the regular healthcare system, like nurses and GPs and whatnot. But the press conference got quite testy because Health Minister Sylvia Jones wouldn't say what pharmacists could charge OHIP for in-person and virtual assessments and whether it'll cost the provincial purse strings more. After the press conference, the CEO of the Ontario Pharmacists Association had to jump in and clarify. So pharmacists can charge $19 for in-person visits, $15 for virtual visits, which is the same as what doctors charge for this kind of stuff. So while the actual amount being charged to OHIP is the same, regardless of whether it's through your doctor, nurse, or the pharmacist, the Pharmacist Association CEO said, there are other fees associated with a doctor's visit that could make the pharmacy option less expensive. Plus, it diverts people away from the regular overburdened healthcare system to pharmacists, and that diversion saves the province money overall.
All right, for the most up-to-the-minute coverage of Ontario politics anywhere, log on and become a Trillium Insider today at thetrillium.ca. Reporter Aidan Chamandy. Thanks for this, Aidan. Have a great week. Good to see you.
Thanks, Scott. You too.